Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. We're still experimenting with our intro there, so there's a new one that I would love to get some feedback from. So go ahead and comment, and we'll get that feedback. And shout out to Jeremy Hurt for helping us out. All right, today on the show, we have our great friend, Missy Cooke from Lansing Hoops. How you doing, Missy?
Doing good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. So just real quick, I'm Jerry. I've got brown hair, brown eyes. I got my headset on as usual. I'm up in my studio as usual. And shout out to B House Designs with I Am Me t-shirt on. So welcome everyone to the show. And Missy, let's jump into you. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. My name's Missy. I have short curly hair and blue eyes. I wear glasses. I'm rocking my Michigan Hoop Dance Retreat shirt, which I'm sure I'll get into talking a little bit about today. So,
yeah, for
really
sure.
Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So tell us about you. Tell us, where were you born and raised and go to school and all that?
Sure. Yeah. So I was actually born at Sparrow in Lansing. And then I grew up in Weberville, which is just outside of Lansing, 25 minutes or so. Most people in Lansing know where Weberville is, but for those listeners outside the area, it's about 25 minutes east of Lansing. And it's a very small town. So I graduated from Weberville in 2000. So I'm a millennial graduate, and there was only about 39 people in my graduating class. So I'm from a very small rural town. And then I went to MSU, and then I was out of the area for a little while, and then I came back, and I've been here ever since. But now I live and I work in Lansing, and I raise my kids in, I live in Williamston in the suburbs, and I raise my kids in the area, and they go to school in Williamston.
Do you mind if I ask you where you went off to? Because it's always interesting where people move to and where they move back from. Is that okay? Or
Sure. Yeah, sure. I was only gone for a very little while. I lived in Kalamazoo for a short time, and then I came back. So when I first graduated from high school, I was taking martial arts, and my martial arts school was here, and I didn't want to leave, so that kept me here for a long time. And then I came back for love.
Good one. So what martial art?
It's mixed martial arts. I attended the Mid-Michigan Academy of Martial Arts in Okemos for, I want to say, 7 or 8 years. I was a second-degree black belt while I was practicing. It's the American Advanced Combat System. So, like I said, a mixed martial arts.
Did you compete?
No, it was mostly just a personal practice and a physical outlet. And I was not a competitive martial artist.
All right. But still don't mess with you, right? Be nice to you
Right.
next time you come to the Fledge to hula hoop.
Right, exactly.
So what have you been doing for, the years since you graduated?
Sure. Well, when I first graduated, and I was going to MSU, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I just sort of showed up to college, and they don't make you decide right away. So I was just sort of there. And I was taking martial arts, which is why I even chose MSU in the first place, because I could keep doing this other thing. And so after you've been there for 2 years, they make you choose a major. You're not allowed to just like keep going and figuring it out. So I chose criminal justice as my major, and I look back at that now, and I'm not really sure what I was thinking, because that was never going to work out really. But I chose criminal justice, and so I graduated from MSU with a degree in criminal justice. But I really wasn't keen on going into the police force or a military force too much. It wasn't necessarily where I felt connected, but also, I have some issues with some of those systems that I just couldn't really bring myself to be a part of those systems. And so I was sort of floundering, not sure what to do, but then you have this looming student loan debt that they give you 6 months before you have to start paying on. And so I had to get a job. So that's actually why I left, was when I graduated and I moved to Kalamazoo. And I was doing auto insurance as an adjuster there. It was like my first real job where I had benefits, and I was, every 2 weeks I was getting this regular paycheck. So I moved back to Lansing and transferred, and it just was sort of a spiral snowball effect from there. I think I worked there for about 8 years. It was just shy of a decade. And eventually I quit that job because I was miserable. I mean, just so miserable. I could not. It was like I was getting that Sunday night anxiety on Friday night. Like I barely like drag myself to work, and I'd have to make these phone calls, and I would just like have this dread in the pit of my stomach because I knew someone would be yelling at me on the other end of the line. So eventually I quit that job. So in the process, I was sort of looking for my thing. I was having this like existential crisis, like a midlife crisis 15 years early, like, like, what am I doing? And like, I had these 2 kids, and they're beautiful and perfect, and I'm married, and we have a house, and it's just like, God, I could barely like make it through the day because this just sucks so much. So I just started like thinking about like what am I even doing, and realizing like I sort of had this little like mental epiphany where over time, it wasn't like it clicked. It took, several months of this like sort of depression over my head of just realizing that I had gone my whole life doing like, I was a good kid. I was not a kid who got into trouble. I was the valedictorian. I went to MSU and I got a 4.0. So I had done all these things that I was supposed to do, and I was just bored and miserable, and just, I was like, when is doing the right thing going to pay off? Because I've been doing the right thing, and this shit sucks,
Yeah.
And so this is the epiphany I was going through. Meanwhile, my kids are like 1 and 3, and I'm trying to be a good mom, and doctors telling me, oh, it's postpartum, and I'm like, it's not fucking postpartum. It's this shit sucks. Like, this is not postpartum. Sometimes shitty stuff is just shitty, So I quit that job, which was sort of it happened quickly, but over time. And I was working with, for a little while, I thought I was going to be a life coach, which is a little funny because I'm, having this mental break. I was just talking to these women, and I keep running into these women, and we're all having this existential crisis. Every woman I'm running into they feel the same way, and they're hating their jobs, and they're overwhelmed with their lives and their kids. And so I did that for a little while, but it turns out that even the people who, most of the time, even the people who want self-help and they come to you for self-help, they're not ready for self-help in a direct, let's talk about your shit kind of way. Most people, as I'm sure that you know in your experience, you sort of got to talk around, you got to tell stories, and you got to come at it from a side. And a lot of times you can't just head on with somebody's shit because they don't want to hear it. And so that sort of business, I say it failed. My husband Dane, he gets on me when I say that business failed because he feels like there was all these successes. So I don't really think it was a failure in every aspect. Financially, it was a failure. It was hard to make money that way. So I had been sort of feeling this for a while and thinking I needed something else, but I was still trying to make it work. And I had won this. I had won admission to a marketing conference in New York, and I never had been to New York, but I didn't have to pay to go to this conference. So I just had to basically pay to get there and to stay. And it was with this guy. He has a YouTube channel. His name is Derek Helper, and I don't know if you've heard of him,
No,
but he
I
does
don't know, but we'll
marketing.
look him up.
He does marketing videos. But anyway, I thought I need to go. I just need to go. I'll get there and we'll see what happens. But I knew in the back of my head I needed a new business opportunity. So while I was there, I met a professional hula hooper, and that was sort of like unnerving, because who knew that was a thing, right? And so, long story short, we met up at this conference, and she had built this online course that teaches people how to teach kids how to hula hoop, have businesses teaching youth hula hoop lessons. And she offered to let me take this course for free in exchange for a testimonial. And I was like, oh, okay, great. But I didn't hula hoop or anything. And so she followed up for this testimonial, a couple months later. And I have like I wouldn't call it a problem, but like it's an honesty issue. Like I cannot even sort of fudge the truth about things. So I didn't want to give her this testimonial because I hadn't actually done this course. And so of course the only logical reason thing to do would be to force myself to learn how to hula hoop, right? Rather than just tell her that I couldn't use her info. I like guilted myself. I forced myself to learn how to hula hoop. And so like it sort of like hit me in the face, like this is the business opportunity that you've been looking for. This is like kind of what you've been wanting. You've been telling yourself you need something new, and here is something new, and it's being forced on you. Like you should listen. This is a sign. And so prior to doing life coaching, when I was in college, I also taught martial arts. So I wasn't just a black belt, I was a master instructor. And so I had been teaching for a really long time, and the school was really great about giving us teaching training as well. So I had that background, and I was in color guard in high school. So I had this musical movement background. And so when I got into the hula hooping, it was sort of like, okay, well, I already know how to teach and I can do this. And I'm thinking it's just like a fitness business until I like taught myself how to hula hoop. And then I realized that it wasn't. It was like what I was trying to do with life coaching, with talking to women. When hooping came into my life, it was like this very clear avenue of this is how you are going to reach these women. This is how you're going to reach these kids that you've been trying to reach, that you can't say directly, let's work on this thing over here, because they don't want to hear it. It's going to be through hooping. And so I think because I have this musical, band background and color guard background, and then with the self-development of martial arts, it just made sense to me that I could take my self-development history and my movement history and teaching and apply it to hula hooping and use the hoops and the music and the dancing as the contact point, as the way that you open the door to the people that need the help. So that's sort of, since then, that's where I'm at, is now I'm using hula hoops and I'm dancing and I'm playing, and I really focus a lot on helping mostly women and children, but hooping is for everyone. But helping them access those play points that we work so hard to engineer out of our lives.
Yeah. So I know the question that people are thinking out there is, you make money at this? So how do you make money
I
at this?
I do make money at this. So there's lots of ways. Um, One of the things that happened for me after I quit working at my corporate job at the auto insurance place, um, one of the lessons I learned is that I I stayed there too long, way past a due date, because I felt stuck. Like I couldn't leave and maintain the lifestyle that I had set up or the things that I wanted if I left. And so I built this like invisible prison around myself where I just thought I don't know what else to do, and I don't want to leave for something else that's just as crappy because that's just a lot of upset for no improvement. So then I just stayed. And so anyways, when I left, I decided uh I will never work a job that I have to keep ever again. This is my personal life goal. If I ever get to a point where I feel that I I can't lose a job, I will work on getting rid of that job because I think that that's where that prison comes from. So to answer your question, over the years I have built several different avenues for income into my life. Most of them come from hooping, but it's not just one income stream. So I have a YouTube channel where I put up tutorials, and all of the tutorials are up for free. It's I don't use like Patreon or anything like that. It's just available, and I run ads on those YouTube channels, or on my one YouTube channel on those tutorials. So I make some money there, and then
What's
I
that? What's that
also
channel? I'm sorry. What's that channel called, real quick?
it's
So I can,
Lansing Hoops.
all right.
Yep, Lansing Hoops. Um, and I think I have over 100 um, tutorials. I know I have over 100 videos on there for sure, but lots and lots of ways for people to learn how to hula hoop and get inspiration on their own things. So that's one avenue. And then one of the main things that I do, one of my big focuses is working with uh, youth, and I do team building, adult building events, but especially in the summer, I do a lot of youth events. Like you have kids, so like the morning library programs that the different libraries run, and kids clubs and things like the places like that. I will do school assemblies and workshops and intro lessons teaching kids how to hula hoop. And my entire curriculum focuses on helping the children learn social and emotional skills and physical well-being skills through fun and play. So the entire time they don't know that I'm teaching them how to be responsible adults.
So
And
uh,
then go ahead.
how could if somebody wanted to hire you to do a team building or to help with the kids or join a camp, how would they reach out to you?
Sure. So I'm always accessible by email, and that's just Missy@LansingHoops.com. But if you can't remember all of that and you just go to my website, which is LansingHoops.com, then there's a contact form. And you just fill out that contact form and let me know what you're looking for, and then I get in touch and we set it up. So if it's a team building event at like for adults, which is really fun. I love doing the adults because they all think they don't want to hoop and they all change their mind. But I bring everything. So at the schools and at the offices and everything, the people who are there, all they have to do is provide a space and bring themselves. And there's no special equipment. I bring the hoops, and you don't have to change your clothes or anything. So it's really accessible for anyone.
Do you jump right in with fire at that first session at the team building in the corporate conference room?
Uh, Sometimes I might jump right in with a fire performance, but we don't necessarily teach that stuff right away.
So, you've done this at the Fledge. I'll just tell everyone there. And it's fascinating. You've got a diverse crowd. You get men and women that come for just I guess you would call it maybe a drop in, where you guys just kind of do whatever you want. And maybe people think this is a hoop, you keep it around your waist, and that's it. And you don't go in a circle, right? You go back and forth. Is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good you remember.
You taught me something.
Yeah.
But
So normally.
Say what you've done, like all the different things that you guys do, because it's amazing.
Sure. Yeah. So normally what Jerry is referring to is normally when it's not COVID out, we hold a weekly jam. So I've been holding a jam is just like a meetup of flow artists, and flow artists are people who use props or toys, manipulate props and toys, and combine that with music and dance. So hooping is a flow art. A lot of people are familiar with koi artists, which is like a ball on the end of a string or a staff. So we have a flow jam. So anyone who wants to learn or already plays with flow toys is invited to the jam, and it's just a really informal meetup. We blast the music and we hang out, and we just it's just like a big meetup of all your good friends who happen to play with these toys, and we'll share with each other what we've been working on or new tricks that we've been trying to learn, and then catch up, because it's sort of like a little mini family reunion or something that happens every week. But then also we were able, in the past couple of years, we added a fire portion to that. So an extension of flow arts is fire spinning. So not always, but often people who are flow artists will, merge over into this fire spinning world. So they take those same props that they're playing with and they add wicks and they light them on fire.
Yeah.
So that's what we do at the jam as well. And that the jams, when it does run, right now it's still canceled, but hoping to start it up again this summer soon. That's open to anyone who's interested in flow arts or interested in learning how to spin fire in a small, calm, friendly environment where we're going to help you learn without getting burned or setting somebody or something on fire. And that's the whole thing, whether it's fire or it's just dancing with our props. It's really about it's connecting with your inner self. And I tell a lot of adults that flow arts are kind of like a moving meditation. So you are playing and you are having fun. It's really great, but it's also a really, really good way to get in touch with your body and to connect with those physical sensations that we tune out, that we don't notice, that we're hiding behind different things. Flow arts are a really gentle way to access those parts of ourselves that we sort of avoid, and sort of reinforces like giving that care to ourselves, because you can go hard and fast, but you can go slow and be soothing and be kind to yourself too.
Yeah. So let's stick on fire for a second. Do you consider yourself an inventor?
Yes. So I've been fire spinning. I added the wicks to my prep about a year into spinning fire. So I'm coming up on I think it's my 7th year of hula hooping I never could hula hoop when I was a kid. So actually I didn't learn until about 7 years ago. about a year in, I started adding the wicks to the hoops and lighting them on fire. So something that happens when you're a fire spinner, you have to fuel up your prop, and then when you do that, there's always some fuel loss that occurs after you fuel up. And what I noticed as a spinner is happening is that fire spinners were taking that fuel loss, and to get it out of their wicks, it was being flung all over the environment, and they were losing the fuel, as well as it just not being great for the environment. Or they were taking these one-time use plastic bags like Ziplocs and squeezing their wicks to get this excess fuel out. So what I did is I just created a tool that removes all of the fuel waste and the plastic waste that fire spinners experience when they fuel up their props. And it's a really simple take on an old idea, but and actually I was kind of shocked that no one did it. You know, I guess that's like entrepreneurial life. I searched so hard to find someone who had already made this tool, and they didn't, so I had to make it myself.
And without that tool, I'm not saying you did or did not spin fire in the fledge, but without that tool, you wouldn't have been able to spin fire at the fledge, because we would never do anything dangerous, right?
Right, that's exactly it. So I call the tool the fuel funnel, and basically because fire spinning it's an inherently messy hobby, but especially when you do the spin off, that's the process where this fuel is being flung out of your hoops. What happens to a lot of fire performers is if you're indoors, if we were inside the fledge and you go to spin off, if you're outside and you're in the grass, you know, it's maybe not the most like friendly to the environment, but you're not getting fuel like on your furniture and on your walls where it's going to stink for the rest of forever. But a lot of fire performers, they perform inside, so they do this spin off and they're having to create these big elaborate contraptions out of like tarps and PVC just so that their fuel doesn't get all over their performance space. So the fuel funnel basically redesigns the spin-off from using centrifugal force, which flings the fuel out, to squeezing so that it squeezes the fuel out. And it's just a funnel that is made out of silicone. So we've all seen silicone funnels. And then we've also seen hard plastic funnels with a handle, but no one had made a silicone funnel with a handle. So I just created a funnel that will hold, I would say, 70 to 80% of the fire props. Now, there's always some crazy random thing that won't fit, but 78 to 80% of fire props will fit in this fuel funnel, and it just hangs on the inside of your fuel bucket. So after you fuel up, you squeeze, and all of your fuel goes back in the bucket, and there's no fuel loss, there's no plastic waste. So it's a win-win, and there's no, damage to the buildings.
And it saves you a little bit of money too, right? Because you're using less fuel.
Money because you're not wasting so much fuel, and also you're not having to buy plastic bags, so it removes all of your things that you regularly have to replace if you're doing it the other way.
Nice.
Yeah, so I worked on that. That was a project that I worked on in 2019. And then I actually was offered a grant, a Chris Clerk Fellowship through Lansing Arts Council to have that product produced or to create a mold for it so that I could sell that to fire spinners. So that's been really fun process.
Do you sell some of those?
I do. People can find those at thefuelfunnel.com. And they can find it through my Lansing Hoops website as well. But thefuelfunnel.com, if you go there, there's a buy now button. You can purchase straight through the website.
Okay, I posted that too. So what's your mission? What are you trying to do?
Sure. So I would say, I have my businesses, and then I have my personal mission. And one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur and doing your own thing is that you get this like beautiful conglomeration of like business purpose meets personal purpose. So in my business life within Lansing Hoops, and I also host the Michigan Hoop Dance Retreat that's coming up. I'll tell you a little bit about in a minute, but through my hula hooping, my mission is to use hula hoops and music and play to teach women and children lifelong emotional and physical wellness skills.
Yeah.
So basically, long story short, I teach people how to have fun, how to be healthy having fun, so that they don't even realize that they're being healthy. They're just having fun.
I remember when I was in fourth grade, and I remember how fun it was, and that was in the 70s. I go to, my wife's school or whatever. I won't out them, and a lot of that play is gone. Do you see that too? Do you think that too?
I do. So one of the things that I found, I talked before about, jokingly about having this sort of mental break, but it's only a little bit of a joke. It kind of was this huge life-changing moment of, what when you finally realize and you're willing to take stock that life kind of sucks, even though all around you it seems great, then you really have to ask yourself why, and so um, one of the things that I realized, and one of the reasons that I think hooping has been so profound, the reason that I was able to have this connection where I can combine what I've been trying to do with women with hooping, is that um, that is the thing that I was missing. I wasn't playing. I was being serious my whole life. I was a straight A student. I was valedictorian. I wasn't playing. I mean, sure, I did sports, but I look back and I think about those things that I mentioned that I did, the color guard and the martial arts. Those were the things that kept me from even, I think, sometimes recognizing that I wasn't on the right path, because they were so much fun. I was able to ignore that, the life path I was on wasn't exactly right. And so when I stopped doing, when I graduated, first high school and then college, and I stopped doing those things, I stopped having the play. That's when I stopped martial arts. That's when I really got sad. That's when things sort of went downhill. And so this epiphany brought me the realization that I was unhappy because I wasn't passionate. I wasn't doing anything. I mean, I was passionate about my family, but you can't just be passionate about other people. You have to figure out how to be passionate about your own self. So I didn't have that, and it was because I didn't have access to these play opportunities. And so that was really where I started to think, this is why all the women are having this. This is why every last woman is having the same issue, is we're all being so serious all the time, trying to be business people and be good moms and go back to school and eat healthy and be, that's too much for anybody to take on. And so I started to realize sometimes you just have to do the thing that makes you happy, and we're so afraid. We're so afraid to have fun. And so I didn't know right away, when I started hooping, I didn't know that it was going to turn into play is paramount. Play is the thing I'm focusing on. Play is the thing I'm bringing back. I just thought, I'll use this background that I have and make this, and I'll do school assemblies and it'll be great. And it was. But now it's so much more than that. I believe the opposite. We're engineering play and fun out of learning, and we need to be doing the opposite. We need to engineer it back in. Learning is play. Play is learning. So I absolutely believe
Yeah.
that. It's sort of what I'm combating.
I don't know why we might as well start making the kids wear suits and ties to school, because we're trying to make them little workers and consumers right in first grade. And playing and learning, I mean, experimenting, failing, succeed or learn. I mean, all these things we say around here as entrepreneurs, I mean, they apply your whole life. And I don't know.
Your
I love
whole life.
I love what you do.
Your whole
This
life.
might be a setup, but what do you do every damn day to push that mission forward? And I hope it's play.
It is. So I think that as you grow, either emotionally or actually in age, how you see play or what feels like play to you, it changes, depending on who you're with or what needs you have at the time. Play can feel different. To me, play isn't just let's get a game out and play. Play isn't just let's have a party and see our friends. To me, play is anything that you do for the pure joy of doing it. And you would do it even if there was no inherent payoff. It's just joyful. And so to me, what I do every day is I want to hoop every day. I should hoop every day because it is so playful and good, but I don't. What I do try to do instead, and one of the things that I've changed from my husband and I joke around, we call it BC, before consciousness. But before consciousness, I didn't really play. And so now, how that translates into my new life every damn day is that I have set boundaries around how I will work my life so that play is not an option. So I don't try always to remind myself to play, but I do things like I refuse to look at my phone or my computer or my tablet after 9 p.m. for work, because for me, no good work is going to come after 9. I will, in the morning, I will always wake up early and spend time with myself before anybody is awake, so that I can have a cup of coffee and I can look at my calendar and I can read a book and I can hoop if I want to. And then every day I try to find one thing that brings me joy, that I do just for fun. And usually for me, that's something creative. So it might be hooping, but I'm also a really creative person. So I do some different art, and usually I have some sort of creative art project on the back burner over quarantine, because a lot of my hoop gigs were canceled and schools have been closed. So I haven't been able to do those assemblies. I've been making and designing my own custom handbags, which has been really fun. So that's sort of a creative outlet that I have, and that's what I've been sort of working on lately. But usually I'm trying to, work on some sort of outlet. A couple years ago, I convinced my boss. I also work part-time at a bar. So a couple years ago, I convinced my boss to let me paint the side of their building, paint their logo and, some info on the side of their building, which was just a really fun art project. So, just different things.
Yeah.
I don't really call myself an artist so much as I'm more of a maker or a creative, sort of like to add little bits of things to other things.
I get it. So I loved your answer. I mean, that was a lot of different things. Most people's answer isn't that rich. So I love that answer.
I can never nail anything down.
As we no, that wasn't passive aggressive in any way. I really do love that answer. Yesterday on the show we had Tobias from the Poor People's Campaign, and he has a question that I'll pass to you, and then we'll pass a question to the the person who's on tomorrow. His question to you is, where are the spaces you go to find other artists or other hula hoopers or other flow artists, I guess? Where are some of those spaces here in, well, wherever, all over the state, I guess?
Wherever. So when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, there's an entrepreneur, his name is Dan Andrews. And I was listening to a podcast one time and they were chatting about something and he said, well, you know what they say about the coolest party, right? If you want to go to the coolest party, you got to throw the coolest party. So, that's always stuck with me. And it's something that I've taken into my business, my hooping business, but also as a creative, is that if you want to meet other cool creative types, get out and let people see you doing your creative thing. So for me, if I just go to a park with my hula hoops, I'm going to meet 10 people whether I want to or not, because they can't wait to meet me. So I think one of the places that I meet other creatives is going out, being creative. I'm not trying to meet other creative people, but creative people, they find each other because they're going to the places. So a more tangible answer than that sort of ethereal, go out and do it, is in Lansing or in mid-Michigan. What I find is there's an underground group in Lansing for almost any weird thing you could be in. And it's true.
I do know it's true.
And so sometimes, and I know it's uncomfortable, and as creatives and artists, so many of us were introverted and we don't want to get out there, and we're totally fine having our heart on our sleeve on a piece of art on the wall, but to actually go talk to someone and show them our heart with our voices and our minds, it's terrifying. So in Lansing, though, what I find is that if you can find one person who's doing the thing that you're into, all you got to do is hang out with that person, and they're going to show you 3 or 4 other people who will show you 3 or 4 other people. So to me, if you want to find creative types, you want to find cool people, start showing your stuff off. Put it up on social media. If you make something that you can wear it out. If you make art, put it on your wall. Give it away to your friends. Start giving your stuff away. I do the jam. And part of the reason I do that, honestly, truthfully, when I held the very first jam in Lansing, I knew literally 0 other hula hoopers in Lansing. I knew none. But what I could see on Facebook is that there were all these living room hoopers. They were talking about it in the groups. So I knew they were there, but no one was going out. So I just said, I'm going to be at a park if anyone wants to join me. And now here I am, 6, 7 years later, and every single flow artist in Lansing, almost, they know who I am. That's just because I said, come and hang out with me. So, ask people to hang out.
I want to throw a piece of trivia out, and you might even correct me, but you're an inventor in the hula hoop space or the flow art space. Jenny Wags is an inventor in the hula hoop space. Who could imagine that 2 and probably more inventions have come out of Lansing for hula hooping?
I know. It's unbelievable to me the amount of impact that hula hooping and flow arts has. And Jenny has also actually created a hybrid yoga hula hoop curriculum that's amazing. It helps people who are interested in yoga or who are really like needing a gentle flow. It really helps them with posture and balance, which sometimes is inaccessible through regular yoga. So it's like hula hooping, it's silly. It's just a circle. It's no big deal, but it's seriously everything.
I love it. So
Yeah.
tomorrow on the show, I've got Tina, and she runs Supplemental CEO. What question would you like me to pass to her in 40 words
Sure.
or less?
In 40 words or less. Okay. So one question that I have is for every entrepreneur I meet is um, how do you strike a balance between being an entrepreneur and being kind of out there? And sometimes we get known for like pushing forward ideas that seem a little crazy. How do you strike a balance between being that person and just being like a regular Joe who works a 9 to 5, and that disconnect that sometimes we can feel?
I
So
like
that's,
that question. And as a supplemental CEO, it seems like she should have a really good answer for that.
I can't wait to hear what her answer is.
What's your answer? If I flip that question on you, how do you do that?
So I mean, it seems, as I say, it seems a little on the nose, but it all comes back to play. So the loneliest times that I've had where I felt that biggest chasm between I'm out here and I'm doing my thing and I'm in the grind and it's hard. And sometimes I just want to go have a paycheck, you know. Um, those are the times where I'm not connecting with play. I'm pushing away. And if I'm pushing away from play, then I'm also pushing away from those connections that I was just talking about. Where do you find the cool people? Where do you find the artists? Where do you find the passionate people that make you feel alive? Is when you go out and you do your thing. So for me, when I feel that, that's a signal to me that I'm trying too hard. I need to play harder and work not so hard. And that's what I do.
I'm going to play as soon as we get off this. What did we forget? What have we forgotten to promote or talk about? Or
Well, if anybody is interested in hula hooping or learning how hula hooping can, impact your life, hopefully here in the next few months we'll start the jam up, and that will go up on the Lansing Hoops website. But in August, I'll be hosting the 6th annual Michigan Hoop Dance Retreat. It's an 18 and older event, but it is a weekend full of play for adults. So it's in Mason, Dansville, between Mason and Dansville. It's 3 day long mini festival, kind of, and it's all hula hoopers, but some of us don't even hula hoop. And there are workshops, and there's games, and there's music, and there's big fire circle every night, and we have music and we dance, and it's just a really fun way to get back in touch with your spirit, with yourself, with just having fun and laughing. And we're a very open and accepting community, a very come as you are community. And so many of us have been coming to this. This will be our 6th annual. We've been coming every single year. And so it really is like a annual family reunion. And a lot of the people who come, they call us their chosen family because of the overwhelming acceptance and openness that we have. And you can learn all sorts of movement-based play, mostly focused on hula hooping, but we've had pool dancing, we've had other flow arts and talk sessions. So that's in August. And everyone is invited. Everyone can be a hula hooper. We have people come every single year who have started hooping within the last 2 weeks prior, and they leave with a handful of friends and tricks, and they access that part of themselves. So that's at MichiganHoopDanceRetreat.com.
oh, Michigan Hoop Dance Retreat.com.
Yeah, and tickets are on sale for that now. So that's coming up in August.
All right, awesome. So when you guys were here and I wanted to try it, I was always too shy to try it because I always feel like I'm going to say it. It's going to come back to haunt me, but I feel like I'm like humping the air and I'm embarrassed about it. But that's
Everybody
when you told me go
like
back.
that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is that a universal shyness? I mean, I don't know. I guess some people.
It's definitely a universal thing. Men, I think, tend to be a little bit more self-conscious about that, a little bit because of the way their bodies are built. I think it feels a little bit more like it's weird, but also, it's it's common for women to feel that too on other parts of their bodies, which is it's a little bit of the silliness, but part of the fun and the pleasure is starting, is getting comfortable with, as adults. So many of us we're so out of touch with touching ourselves, that it feels weird that moving our body in this way that it's meant to move, it feels weird. And so one of the beautiful things about flow arts and hooping is that it makes movement less weird after a while. Yeah, it sort of feels like you're humping the air, and sometimes it sort of looks like that, but then, after a while it doesn't, and it's just bodies, it's just people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you do. This is,
um
Lansing Hoops by itself, if you just said that, I don't think really, captures the essence. I'm not saying your name's bad. I think your name's spectacular, but it doesn't capture, I think, the essence of what actually you're doing. Because it's a lot more than just, throwing some hoops out on the ground and, good luck. And I love
it's
it.
definitely a lot more, but that's the hidden secret. I don't tell anyone, otherwise they're too scared to pick up the hoops.
Yeah. What would you like to take us out with?
Well, how I always sign off my classes and my emails, I always say, keep on hooping. Keep on hooping. Just pick it up. Just keep on
All
picking
right.
up your hoops. So
There you all
keep
go.
on
Keep
hooping.
on hooping. So, another great every damn day. Thank you so much, Missy, for telling us about yourself and Lansing Hoops and all the different things that you've got going on. And yeah, everyone stay tuned for another episode of Every Damn Day, every day at 2 p.m. And we will see you later. See you, Missy.
Thanks for having me.
See you, everyone.